Hello there, welcome to today's talk. And before I start, I remembered to bring along my lovely chime. So, just a nice little gentle start this morning before I go on to talk about sleep solutions. Now, as you may know, last Friday was World Sleep Day, which is what prompted me to talk about sleep solutions today, because it's something I haven't talked about for quite some time now. So I'm going to go through with you about 5 methods if you have trouble falling asleep, and then I'll move on to talking about a few things to help if you wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep. You may fall into both categories, you may fall into only one. Now, you may know some of these already, they're not rocket science, but I find it's always helpful to be reminded of them because it's easy to slip into bad habits. So, if you have trouble falling asleep, the first thing I want to talk about is don't use electronic devices for at least an hour before going to bed. And by that I mean watching TV, reading your phone, watching or reading anything on an iPad, a laptop, just any electronic device, because they give off a kind of a blue light that interferes with our body's production of melatonin, which is the substance that helps us get ready for sleep. So it's really important not to interfere with that, as I say, at least for an hour before we go to bed, so that then we allow our natural brain signals to tell us that it's time to sleep. The next one is routine. So establish a regular bedtime and morning getting up time. And that applies whatever the day, it's not just on work days. So always go to bed at the same time, always get up at the same time. It can be incredibly tempting when you're tired to have a lie in on a weekend, but it's much better for our sleep generally if we get ourselves into a routine, so our body knows when it's time to get up and it knows when it's time to go to sleep, and we want to do as little as possible to interfere with that. And another thing to remember is that it takes time to build up new habits, so don't give up if you've tried this for a few days and nothing's changed in terms of your getting to sleep. Just stick with it and it will improve things. Now, the next one I want to talk about is something that had a huge effect on me, made a massive difference. When I became menopausal and my sleep patterns went all over the place, I came across this particular tip and it made such a difference, even though to me it sounded counterintuitive, and it might do to you. And what it is that when you wake up in the morning, when you get up, go for a walk outside straight away. It doesn't have to be a long one, just 10 or 15 minutes will do it, because what that does is that it allows daylight, sunlight hopefully, onto our eyes, and that triggers our brain into knowing that it's time to wake up, and that has an impact on our natural circadian rhythms. So our body knows when it's time to wake up, and because it knows that it's waking up at that time, it then knows when it's time to go to sleep. And as I say, it does sound counterintuitive, because what we want is to go to sleep, and what we're talking about is waking ourselves up, but it's at the other end of the day. And I know from experience that that really works. After I started doing this each day, I just started getting to sleep so much more easily at night. So I do highly recommend that from my own experience. Now, number 4 is one that you will all know about, which is limiting caffeine intake. But you might not know some of the details behind it. So obviously coffee contains caffeine, even decaf does contain some caffeine. But caffeine is contained in all sorts of drinks, not just coffee. It's in tea, it's in hot chocolate, it's in actual chocolate that you eat, it's in energy drinks, it's all over the place. And what you need to do is to really limit your intake of it in the hours before you're going to sleep. And the key here is that it's longer than you think. Caffeine stays in your system for an average of 6 hours, and it can take even longer than that for it to clear out completely. Some of us are more sensitive to caffeine than others. I'm a highly sensitive person, and that makes me more sensitive to it. So if you're a highly sensitive person, you're likely to be more sensitive to it as well. But it was a bit of an eye-opener for me how long it does stay in your system. So if you think about, an average of 6 hours, so you need to track back 6 hours at least from your normal going to bedtime to have stopped your caffeine at that time. And I find that for me, it's good just to have a cut-off of the middle of the day, lunchtime-ish, because I know it can take even longer than 6 hours to completely clear from your system. And if you're struggling and thinking, well, what on earth am I going to drink in the evenings? Well, you've got plain old water, you've got herbal teas, and there are loads of lovely ones out there now. And some of them, Pukka particularly, which I love, they do teas that are designed to help you sleep. Something like chamomile, just plain chamomile tea is great to help you relax before bed. And it just helps you to unwind, ready for sleep. So that one's a biggie. Number 5 that I want to talk about is don't use alcohol to help you sleep. It can be really tempting if you've had a stressful day. You get home from work, or if you've been working from home, you switch off your laptop, you're ready for the evening, you pour yourself a glass of wine. It's great because it helps you to relax in that moment, but having alcohol, especially not long before you go to bed, it really interferes with your sleep systems. It means that you don't get a relaxing and properly restful sleep, even if you do go to sleep. And it also means that you can wake up a lot in the night. And again, that's something that I found, and that's one of the things that triggered me to give up alcohol altogether. But so I'm not saying you have to give it all up altogether, but just be mindful of it. You don't use it to help you get to sleep. Use some of the other strategies instead, because alcohol is not one that will help you get a restful sleep. So those are 5 tips for helping you fall asleep if that is your area of struggle. And I'm going to go on now to talk about another few for things to do if you wake up in the night and you're struggling to get back to sleep. So the first one of these is to try not to fret, not to worry if you fall asleep, if you wake up. Don't be sort of frantically looking at your watch or your clock thinking, oh crikey, it's whatever time it is and I've only got so many hours before I've got to get up. Because, as you may have heard me say before, what we resist persists. So in other words, if we resist the fact that we've woken up, that's just going to perpetuate. Instead, try to accept that this is something that's happening. And then once you've accepted that you are awake, you do wake up in the middle of the night, focus on some of the strategies that I'm going to go through with you now. Number 1 of these strategies is, if you are the type of person like me, where if I wake in the night, I'll start immediately thinking about all of the things I've got to do. Keep a notebook and a pen or pencil by the side of your bed, and whenever a worry pops into your head when you've woken up, write it down. Because especially if it's something that you think, oh yeah, I've got to do that tomorrow, I've got to remember to do such and such. If you write it down, it's your brain letting it go, and your brain will also know that you're not going to forget to do whatever it is because it's on that list. So that can really help to empty your brain of the worries that are coming in when you've woken up. Next one is to maybe listen to a calming guided meditation. Now, there are loads of these that you can get online. You can download apps like Calm and Headspace. There'll be loads of others out there that I'm not aware of. So if that's something that you find helpful, then I would recommend doing that. I find it quite helpful to listen to something audio, as long as it's calming, to help me get back to sleep. And one of those is my next strategy, which is to listen to an audio book. For some reason, even though I'm interested in a story, I find it very relaxing, I suppose, is why, and then it helps me to get back to sleep. One thing not to do is to pick up a Kindle and read that, even though reading does relax you, because Kindles, like other electronic devices, they do emit that blue light, and even if you have them in dark mode, they still do give off that blue light, which interferes with the melatonin that I was talking about at the start. So if you've tried a few of those things and you still can't get back to sleep, then the next bit of advice is to actually get up out of bed and then go and do something that you find relaxing out of bed. So that might be reading, but reading a physical book rather than an electronic device, because as I said earlier, reading does relax the brain and makes you sleepy. But if you don't find reading relaxing, not everybody likes it, you might want to do something like try a meditation. You might want to, what was I going to tell you about? You might want to do a breathing exercise. You might want to write in your journal. Maybe make a cup of herbal tea like a chamomile tea. Whatever it is that you find relaxing, but not involving electronic devices, do that until you feel sleepy, and then get back into bed and go back to sleep. So I think those were 5 things for bits of advice for trying to get back to sleep if you do wake up in the middle of the night. And again, it is just practice, just get into those habits and see what works for you. You might want to try all of those things. Some things might work better than others for you. Find what is the best one for you and then do it. But I do recommend accepting things, as I said at the start of this section, because fighting against it just makes us more worried, more anxious, which then is detrimental to our sleep generally. So if you've tried everything and you still find trouble with sleeping, then maybe you need to do some wider relaxation. Maybe you've got tension in your body that needs to release, and Reiki, which I practice, as you'll know if you follow me, is something that can help you to release that tension and make you more relaxed overall. There are all sorts of other techniques out there. You pick what's right for you, but it may be that you just need to let go of some tension from your body generally, which will help the relaxation process. So those were just a few suggestions for sleep solutions. If you're interested in finding out more, as always, get in touch with me and I can give you some more advice. If you need to, or if you'd like to book some Reiki with me, then pop on my website and you can find where to do that. And by the way, if you can see smoke coming across the screen now, it's because I've got incense burning next to me. I just saw it wafting across, but I'm not in a burning building or anything. Just one final point today. If you are local to me and you are interested in learning about the chakras and having a chakra dancing session, I am doing a workshop at Aliafia in Barnstaple this coming Saturday, the 23rd of March. It's a 2-hour workshop where we will have a session of chakra dancing, but before that we will dive a bit deeper into the chakras, just talking about what they do for us, how it can feel, how you can feel if your chakras are out of balance, and what the attributes of them are. So if that's something you're interested in, then again, have a look on my website. You can find the booking details there. If you can't find them, just message me and I can send them to you. So thanks as always for watching. Have a wonderful day and I will be back here with you again next week. Bye for now.